Let's react to the week 13 college football playoff rankings and just what this committee is thinking about, especially as we get through number 6 all the way down to number 25. So let's start with number 25 and work our way up. Or, you know what? No, let's start at number 1 and work our way down because, frankly, we're going to have more to talk about as we get down the order because Ohio State at number 1 is making sense to most people. I'm sure there's someone out there that believes that Texas A&M is a better football team, to which I'm going, a better football team does not go down 30-3 to a 3-7 South Carolina team, okay? It's not how that works. Well, Indiana's a better team. No, Indiana need to come back from the dead against a Penn State team that still hadn't won a Big Ten game and then finally got one against a Michigan State team that turns out to be worse than they are. So they're ranked accordingly. But that's the line, right? Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Those are the 3 best teams in the sport, and they'll have an opportunity to prove it here in the coming weeks. First, get through the rest of your season. For Indiana, that's easy. You're going to beat up on Purdue. You're going to get to 12-0. You're going to get to the Big Ten championship. A&M, not as easy. Going to beat up on Stanford. And then you're going to have to beat out a really talented Texas team, maybe as talented as you are, in a game where they know they can crap on your season. In a rivalry game that I believe is one of my favorites because these two programs hate each other. And they hate each other not enough to not play for years. Now they're forced to play because they're in the same conference. Then Ohio State and Michigan. The most intriguing of these rivalries to end the season. Obviously, Michigan has beaten Ohio State every single year since 2021. They didn't play in 2020. And it feels like if they had, Jim Harbaugh would have been fired, and you would not have had this renaissance of Michigan football or even the Connor Stallions of it all. Perhaps Ohio State even wins a national championship or two in there, let alone a Big Ten championship. But again, Ohio State is trying to do something they didn't do last year, just win the Big Ten championship. And Michigan can really spoil that if others keep up their end. Okay, behind them, then it gets to be a little bit more interesting. Georgia at number 4. Makes sense. They stopped the mud hole in Texas and walked it dry 35-10. Their only losses to an Alabama team that slid pretty far down, given what we've seen so far from this committee. And I was wondering about this. How badly are they going to penalize Bama? Well, not as much as I thought they might. But Texas Tech at number 5 feels like as high as they're going to fly. You are looking at perhaps a Texas Tech team unlike any other before. They might have a Heisman candidate, or they do have a Heisman candidate, might have a Heisman finalist in Jacob Rodriguez. We'll see. Linebackers making it to the ceremony feels like winning the Heisman Trophy. But Texas Tech has beaten every team that it has beaten by 20 points or more. But that one it didn't is the game that Baron Morton didn't start, right? And I'm thinking, well, perhaps it's as simple as, let's see what they can do against better competition. Like, the Big 12 is really deep and it's very good. But I don't know that Texas Tech is going to be anything other than perhaps Vanderbilt, maybe, or Tennessee in the SEC. But they have an opportunity to prove that. Just win the Big 12 championship and shut me up. Number 7, you got Oregon, who has a huge game against USC this weekend. I don't think they can afford to lose that game to SC because they take 2 losses at home. They don't really have anything to show. That win against Iowa doesn't mean as much. That win against Penn State means absolutely nothing. You got one of the softest schedules in the Big Ten, and you need to finish 11-1 for me to get into the college football playoff. Number 8, Oklahoma, right where they should be. OU still got all the pressure in the world. Has to beat Missouri later this week, and that's going to be a huge game. Then it has to beat LSU, and then it has to sit there and hope. But the resume would be the strongest among any team that had won 10 games or fewer this season. Beat up on a top 25 Michigan, beat up on a top 25 Tennessee, beat up on a number 4 Alabama, and will have beaten up on a top 25 Missouri. It's strong. It's very strong. It's going to be difficult to keep them out if they take care of business. Then there's Notre Dame, who's been basically getting more powerful from the further they get away from their second loss, but they still have 2 losses. I wonder what would happen if perhaps we see some renaissance of USC, right? What do we do with Oregon with 2 losses? Do we put them behind Notre Dame? What do we do with USC, who might beat an Oregon? How far down does Notre Dame go, especially when they don't play for a conference championship? Be interesting. Alabama's right there at the cut line at number 10. Interestingly enough, Alabama still kind of controls its own destiny getting to the SEC championship game because it's only got 1 loss in conference play. So they beat Auburn. They're basically going to get into the SEC championship game on a tiebreaker, right? Georgia needs a loss from Alabama, and I believe a loss from Texas A&M. And I think the same thing is true for Ole Miss to get in there. So it's getting kind of convoluted and it's getting kind of hard to follow. But let me make sure that I got this just right because I took some time to go write this down. It's very, very tight there. So Alabama, as I said, all they got to do is really beat Auburn. The Dogs get a chance to repeat as SEC champions if Bama loses to Auburn or if A&M loses to Texas. So one or the other. And Ole Miss gets in there, having won a conference championship since 1963, if they beat Mississippi State and Texas A&M loses to Texas and Alabama loses to Auburn. Just a little bit more difficult for them to get there, but it's possible. I think Alabama's only way of getting in the college football playoff is winning the SEC championship, because if you lose that game, you're a 3-loss team. And I don't think a 9-win SEC runner-up is getting into the college football playoff. Not when you got 11-win Ole Miss or 11-win Georgia. It's just not going to happen for you. Or 10-win Oklahoma, for that matter, who's got the head-to-head against you. Number 11, BYU. You got to win the Big 12 championship. Feels like you're not getting in unless you do that, even with just the 1 loss to Tech. Utah, you got to help that BYU or Texas Tech get caught slipping. Miami, right now, the committee thinks that's the best team in the ACC, and it might be, but we'll see. There's still a whole lot of moving and shaking that has to happen in the ACC. Nobody can really call it. Vandy was idle last week. They're going to be on the outside looking in. All they can do is win every game they got left, get to 10 wins, and then see where they stack up. USD, again, huge game against Oregon this weekend. It's going to be trying to stop that number 2 ranked rushing offense for Oregon is going to be just hell for them, because they've been getting like 200 yards rushing per game the last 5. It's just been bad. So they'll have to earn it. They'll have to win it. Then at number 16, Georgia Tech, 9-1. It's getting shaky for them. They need to come back to win against 1-7 Boston College, but they got it done. Texas, outside looking in, 7-3. 9-3 ain't getting you into the college football playoff. So the best you can hope for is beating up on Arkansas this weekend and then spoiling it for A&M as much as you can. Michigan at number 18. There's scenarios in place for Michigan to get to the conference championship, but I just don't see it happening. If they get to 10 wins, one of those wins against Ohio State, perhaps we're having a real conversation about them and Oklahoma, and them and USC. If they're able to beat Oregon, could get real nasty there at the end. Honestly, I got to go with the head-to-head on that. Michigan might have beat Ohio State, but Oklahoma beat Michigan. There's that, right? Had Oklahoma had the opportunity to play Ohio State, maybe they win, maybe they don't. But I think the head-to-head's got to matter here. Virginia at number 19, 9-2. Remarkable season for Tony Elliott, who won 11 games 3 years prior, won 9 games this year. Tennessee at 7-3, probably going to end up 9-3 if they can beat Vanderbilt, but we'll see. That's probably going to be the difference between them winning. That is the difference between, I think, them winning 10 games, Vanderbilt winning 10 games, a rivalry game that's going to matter. And then we get to number 21, Illinois, 7-3, Missouri, 7-3. Both those teams on the outside looking in a 2014 playoff. Both those teams still got a shot. Houston at 8-2, needs some carnage above them. Tulane getting that G6 spot right now. I still think North Texas is a better football team, but they'll get a chance to prove it. So will Navy, for that matter. And Arizona State at 7-3. James Madison's got to be pissed about this. But again, you still got 2 weeks left in the season. Let's see where this thing lies, because if James Madison goes undefeated in conference play, his only loss is to Louisville, but we put in a 2-loss Tulane, yeah, move some furniture around. That means there's going to be some fighting.